should be able to see me, my ugly mug. Hope we're all well. Sorry for the slight delay. We had some hashtag technical issues, but we're all sorted now, which is all good. So I'm afraid that my less than sightly visage, I can't get rid of it for this whole session because I'm hosting it, I'm moderating it, so I'm going to be here. Carol's going to be here the whole time too. We've got the boys, we've got Sam and Stanton. We've got Poppy, who's head of wardrobe. We've got Danny representing the dancers. We've got Daniel Beals. And we have Chris Simmons hovering about, but it doesn't look like we can get him on screen. So he'll just be presiding over us like the ghost of older Steve Marriott. So we'll be pulling up people to answer your questions as they come and go. So we've actually got some questions that people have already asked. Okay, cool. Carol, I'm gonna just bat these to you, and
right. Okay.
Let's riff. Let's freestyle. Okay, so the first question is, what is your favorite? It's from Nicola Marie Anderson. So what is your favorite line from the show? Mine
my
is.
Favorite line.
Hers is, "How's about a shit sandwich?" Because her mum.
I think that's yours. Yeah. I think one that I wrote was if you if you lot want to kowtow to those toffee nuts prats, that's up to you. Twats, that's up to you.
Strong line.
I just think that sums up my writing so beautifully. It's like Shakespeare.
A mod Shakespeare.
I like the phone call with Lawrence of Bleeding Livia. I like that, you know. So that's one of my favourites as well, the phone call where she goes all posh. Ooh, no, there must be some mistake.
So the second question we've got is, this is from Sonia Bradford. And it is, did any of the Small Faces family see the show? If so, what do they think?
Oh, yeah. There's, Steve Marriott's sister, Kay, saw the show, who, his mum's name was Kay. She just died just before the show went up in London. All the Lanes, Ronnie Lane's brother, Stan, his boys, Luke and Reuben, his stepdaughter, Alana, his ex-wife. We had Mac's ex-wife and her son, who's Mac's son, Lee. We had Kenny Jones' son. We had obviously Molly Marriott and Tonya Marriott. So mostly all the people who are related to the band came to see the show. So yeah, it was a real family affair.
Amazing. Just so you know, guys, in case you haven't spotted it, you can ask a question either in the chat window, which should be at the right of your screen, or there's a little ask a question button at the bottom in the center. So by all means, tap them in, and we shall endeavour to provide you with the answers you seek. So the next question is from Liz Keller. Haha. And it is, were all members of the cast familiar with the Small Faces music before taking part in All or Nothing? Shall I bring the boys up, Carol?
Yes, please. Okay. Yeah.
I'm going to tap in Sam and Stanton. Where is he? Where are they? It's going to take a couple of seconds. I've just literally invited Sam Pope on screen. And I'm going to do the same for Stanton right now. Hurrah. Hey!
Hello! I think Sam's grabbing a beer.
That sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, I know. But he will be here shortly.
So do you want to put that question to Stanton, Alex?
Yeah, Stance, were you familiar with the popular beat combo, The Small Faces? Or the Small Faces?
The Small Faces, yeah.
The Small before you were cast?
Yes, a little bit is the short answer. So I actually saw the show as an audience member when it was at the Vaults. because, believe it or not, I came to see the guy who played Ronnie Lane before me. I came to watch him in new 60s mod musical, and I thought this sounds cool. And speaking of idiots, here he is.
Oh, what?
Yeah. But yeah, so, and before that, I hadn't really heard of the Small Faces, or so I thought. And then I watched the show, and as a lot of people who saw the show, there was about 3 or 4 songs that I was like, oh, no way, that was them. And that sort of sparked my interest. And then a little under a year later, I got an audition for it with Carol, and then the rest is history. But and then I listened to the whole back catalogue of them, and now I'm a big fan, obviously. But yeah, Sam, how about you?
I mean, yeah, it was pretty similar. Like, I think I hadn't heard of them as a band. Like, there were songs, I mean, like that kind of said, like Itchy Park, that I'd heard on the radio and you know and about, but hadn't really heard of them as a band. But it's ridiculous how now, having been involved in the show and having researched it and been immersed in that world for so long, it just, you can't escape it now. It's everywhere. Like you go anywhere and there's Small Faces music playing. It's amazing. Like I remember being in I was on tour in New Zealand, and we were in a bar, and it was a kind of rock bar, but like the first song as we walked in was Tin Soldier, and he was like, that's ridiculous. I'd never heard of that song before this show. It's now one of my favorite songs in the world, but like I could not believe that it was.
And he's also got the tattoo of it.
I've got the tattoo, yeah. Got my little Tin Soldier. There he is. There's little Tin Soldier. Guitar. Yeah.
But
Never
also,
leaves you.
Alex was familiar with the Small Faces, I know, but also the boys went and worked with Pat Davey as well. Yep. So they really quickly came into, because you worked as a band, didn't you? Before we wanted you to be like a band before you were got involved in the acting.
Yeah, Pat was great at that, because Pat's obviously a band man himself, so a musician. So he was great at kind of gelling us together. I think we were quite lucky that we naturally gelled personality-wise anyway. But musically, he was fantastic. He really helped.
And that's Pat David, our musical supervisor.
Yeah, he was amazing. He sort of took our sort of very raw, rugged skills that we had, and helped us mold into the Small Faces sound. Really, it was a very fun first week of rehearsals we had in that studio.
It was.
We've got
another question.
We've got another band question actually, which is from Stacey. What is your favourite song to play in the musical?
Do you want to answer that one, Alex?
Yeah, Alex.
I think for me, if I had to pick one on Pain of Death, and it would have to be on Pain of Death, actually, nothing less. It would definitely be Tin Soldier, which is the greatest single of all time. And know. And
okay. I know that Sam's is Tin Soldier. What's yours?
It is, yeah.
And Stanton?
Mine, I mean, I would say Tin Soldier, but for the sake of saying something different, because I think that was all of our favourites. But I really liked playing Itchy Park, just because it's such an iconic song, and also because Ronnie. Because I know that like Ronnie wrote most of that and wrote the lyrics for that. That was it always sort of rang true with me. And when I sort of looked into what it was actually about and what he wanted to say, I really got it, you know. So I was like, I had another sort of affinity with it. Yeah.
I think I'm Only Dreaming was another one of mine.
Oh yeah.
Throw another one in the mix. Like I loved that. Performing that was amazing. Like singing it was great, and
having me crying in the wings.
When you crying in the wings.
Yeah. Carol was always watching the wings on that.
The build to that song is incredible. It's lovely. Like it starts off so gentle with just the Hammond, and then when it you get those, so you get the tenderness of the band, and then it just jumps straight back into that kind of gritty, raunchy rock that they usually do. So
yeah.
Right.
I can see Chris is Chris is on the side and he's asking you to invite him in, Alex.
I think he's trying to get on still. I'm gonna give him a go. Let's give him a go. All right, thanks, boys.
May God be with us all.
Cool.
See you later.
Okay, I'm just gonna try and invite Chris, guys.
Neil Sunday.
Here he is. Right. Hopefully this will work this time. Come on, Chris, you can do this.
We've
Ooh,
also got Daniel Beals on screen, haven't we? Where he can be.
indeed,
And
Daniel Bills.
Danny, of course, and don't forget our Poppy, who did.
There he is.
Hey! Oh, what's he done to himself now?
What's going on, man? I was just playing Call of Duty and all of a sudden you lot propped up.
All right, here's one for you, Chris. The next question is, yeah, and we do have Danny representing dance, Poppy representing all things wardrobe and backstage. So, and Daniel Beals, who obviously was Tony Blackburn amongst other characters in the show. So, if you've got any questions for these guys, please pop them up. Chris, what was your favourite venue you went on tour with the show from David Williams?
Favourite venue? That's a great question. God, there was so many, wasn't there? There were so many. I enjoyed that beautiful theatre in Harrogate. I enjoyed York. I thought was a wonderful theatre. I enjoyed the rough and readiness of that place in Swansea, where one of my favourite, a really great song that I really enjoy. It's a 10-minute version of Sultans of Swing by Dire Straits. And a guy came to see the show in Swansea and he was really lovely. And I sort of clocked him before I spoke to him. And I thought he looks a bit of an old rocker. And he came over and started chatting. He said, he said, I met the Small Faces numerous times. And he said, I was the drummer in Dire Straits. And that always stuck out to me for some reason.
Nothing kings a dream.
Yeah, yeah. I love the art. I love the arts. I love loads of them. I love. Yeah. I like the smaller ones. The smaller ones, the better for me for some reason, because it felt like we just blew the lid off the theatres. Yeah. What I don't know. What was yours, Carol?
I loved Glasgow.
Yeah.
The first time we went to Glasgow, and it was phenomenal because Glasgow audiences can be quite difficult.
Yeah.
And it was absolutely astonishing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was wonderful. I think that was the first one that I went, wow.
Yeah.
And we got the most beautiful review then. The reviewer really understood what I was trying to, from a writer point of view, what I was trying to do, you know. I think he called it a love letter to the 60s, which was very nice.
That's nice, yeah.
I did love that. I loved our arts because I think it really suited the arts as well in London. But, you know, we love theatre, so we love all the, you know, the really beautiful looking ones as well. I think places like Dartford were fabulous.
Yeah.
It was not so much just about the theatres, it was about the audiences, and we had some incredible audiences. I remember in Cardiff and we were hoping for people to come out on a ride out, and I was waiting outside. It was pouring with rain. There were 4 guys on scooters, and I said, yeah, well, thank you so much for turning up. I went back in. Can you still hear me, everyone?
Yep, loud and clear.
Yeah, I went back inside, and then obviously I heard the familiar noise of a scooter, and then there was more, and then there was more. And we went outside, and there was 60 in the pouring rain. They stopped all the traffic. So a lot for me is more about the audiences, and you know, they were just, our audiences are the best ever.
Yeah, agreed. Do you think I would be speaking out of turn if I said sort of like, I don't think rough is the right word, but like you say, Dartford and Glasgow, and you know, they're sort of
common working class like us.
Yeah, commonly working class people. You know, that just sort of just Southend,
fabulous. Oh, and like Doncaster. I mean, God, there's so many that were just, you know, as well. And I never did it, but then we have a wonderful group from Dundee who follow us everywhere. Arthur who's
Hayden.
Dundee lot.
Amazing. Yeah.
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 And my son always says about Dundee how much he loved it there. So
Yeah.
Dundee was great, actually. Dundee
have we
was.
got some questions for Poppy or Danny or?
We're going to get Danny up because I think she's got a quiz that she's got to go to, so she's got to nip off pretty soon.
Right.
So I'm going to pop her up.
She's double dating.
Indeed. Where is Danny? Danny, we can't find you. Where are you?
I have to say I love the ride outs of most of the places that we went to. That was a real thing for me, and meeting all the audiences. And yeah, it's just very much about people.
Remember that ride out in where was it? Oh, I can't remember where it was, but somebody bought a little mod dog in a
Yes. Oh, that was Southampton.
Southampton, that was it.
That was Southampton, the Mayflower. Yeah,
Amazing.
the mod dog. Yeah. And do you remember we had our own teddy bears called Happiness Stan that Poppy and Jess used to look after, that we took on tour with us. Our All or Nothing teddy bear. We can ask Poppy about that. I hope she's still looking after him. Poppy, are you there?
Pops is here. I've just tried to invite Danny up, but it's not working. So, okay. So let's get. I'm going to find the next question actually.
I just want to own up that it was my fault for the technical problem because I'm so untechnical.
It wasn't your fault. It was the Digi Gremlins. Okay, here's one from David's. What is the funniest thing that happened during the show? Should we get Daniel and Pops up for this?
Yeah, go on. Let's get to Daniel because he does funny. He does funny the best.
He is funny. Funny is Daniel. Poppy. Okay. All right, here they are.
Hey!
Hello. I wouldn't say I
Hey guys.
do funny. I look funny, I think. Hello.
So we got a question for you, Daniel, and then I've got one for you, Poppy.
Okay.
So, what was the funniest thing, both in front of and behind the curtain, that happened during the shows?
It's me. That's a difficult one. There were so many funny things, obviously, in the show. One of the funniest things that happened off stage, I think, for me, was the first night of a particular venue. I can't remember where it was. Could have been Cheltenham. Could have been any one of these. That there was a massive set to get in, and I think Carol and I went to walk through the door, and it was still screwed shut. So we sort of just we couldn't get through, and all of the doors were screwed shut. That was.
I think we had to get the emergency screwdriver, didn't we? And we were unscrewing as the show was going on.
It was just brilliant.
I remember going, keep it ringing, keep the phone ringing.
Yes, that was it.
Because my mic was on.
Keep ringing.
Keep ringing. That was fun. Yeah, that was.
And lots of very naughty Chris Simmons things, that because you weren't allowed to acknowledge him on stage because he obviously wasn't there because he was a ghost. He would do some brilliant things with me, whisper things towards me, trying to make me. Never managed to, obviously, because I'm not in the slightest, of course, you know.
But if I caught him on stage, I'd slap him.
Oh, you would, yeah, many times.
Can I ask Poppy, where do we know where Happiness Stan is?
He should be in the trundle still.
He's on the trundle
with all the
Charles
costumes.
is looking after him then.
Yeah.
He's emigrated up north.
Oh well, I'm sure he's fine.
Yeah,
He's
we've got to find
all
him
the costumes.
Bring him back. He's in isolation.
Yeah. Well and truly.
He's on lockdown.
Okay. I've got a question for Danny, if she's still here, so I'm going to try and get her up. Hang on a sec. Hang on. There she is. Let's see if this works.
She's probably doing a warm up.
Yeah, doing a stretches. I think this. Let's see if this works. Is probably going to be the most uttered sentence of the evening. So I invited Danny again, and I'm going to ask you a question, Carol. In the meantime,
Oh, okay.
she comes up. So, 2 things, please, from Nata. Hope I've pronounced that right. This is for you, Carol, and it is number 1. What was Stevie like when you knew him? Oh, we'll come back to that. Danny, you're in. Amazing.
Am I? I can't
We're
see
going to come to
myself.
you in a sec, honey. What was that? What was Stevie like?
I'll come back to this, Carol, because Danny's got shit off the equipment.
Get Danny.
She's
Because
good that she's back.
No, can you see me?
Got you, yeah. Absolutely.
Oh, I can't see myself, so it's just weird.
Got
Okay,
your
hi guys.
Nothing t-shirt on.
It's a bit like real life, then, isn't it?
Hey.
Hello, everybody.
I've got a target. I've got a mod.
Yeah, I thought I'd wear it.
I've got my 7 chest hairs out. Or 8. Okay, so this is for you, Danny. It's from Jim Bamford. Who made you dance on the boxes, and did anyone ever fall off?
Oh, well, I never fell off, I'm pleased to say. I always thought I'd be the one that would, but I think I was the one that didn't. Who made us dance on the box? Well, I think we had to dance on the boxes because that's what they did. So, I mean, we just tried to make it as authentic as possible and recreate the feeling and everything of the 60s. And I think we had to dance on the boxes. I actually missed my box. It was quite safe up there.
What was your favourite thing to dance to? What's your favourite dance? Your favourite routine?
My favourite routine was HQ Park, easily. However, I have actually been teaching, because we've been doing a lot of online learning because of lockdown. I've actually been teaching my kids the routine to Happiness Stand this week.
Oh.
And they've really loved it. So it was nice doing that again.
Passing the torch on.
Yeah, they love it. I also loved What You're Gonna Do. That was a great one as well.
Nice.
High energy, yeah.
Nice one,
Yeah.
Danny. Okay, Carol, so we'll go back to that question again. What was
Stevie like?
What was Stevie like?
Right, well, he was incredible human being. He was amazing. He lit up a room whenever he went into a room. Anywhere. He never stopped talking. He was incredibly funny. And you were just drawn to him, but he always like, he wouldn't say anything in like one sentence when he could like elaborate. He was very, very theatrical. I mean, I think people have asked me about him. He was like a firework, when he came into a room. And, I first met him when I was young, when I was like 8 or 9, and he was friends with my cousins. And my cousins loved me very much, but they used to get fed up with me because I was the youngest one. So they used to go to me, say things to me like, "Oh, you look tired. Go and have a lay down in the road," things like that. And he was always sort of, whenever I met him, he just really made a fuss of me and was really lovely to me. And even though I was younger, but he's the funniest, wonderful person, and so descriptive and mesmerizing, just mesmerizing.
There's a part 2 to this question, Carol, and it's from Nata. I think I'm going to get pops up again for this. Who did the wardrobe for the show, and how accurately did that reflect the mod ethos of the Small Faces and East London style of the time?
Right, do you want to start with me?
Yep. And
I mean, the ethos of East London, I mean, that's why I wanted to write about it, because it was so important to me, the whole mod movement, the fashion, and it was really started in London style, and we were very smart, and it's incredibly accurate. I insisted on accuracy.
Yeah, I can vouch for that.
Yes. Some of the clothes at the very beginning as well were mine. The girls' clothes, a lot of them were mine. But also I've got lots of other friends who are in the mod fraternity still. And obviously there was a real code. I used to make sure the boys' socks there was an inch above the ankle bone, didn't we, Pops, and stuff like that.
It had to be perfect.
Everything had to be perfect for me because it was so important to us it was like the most important, well, as well as the music and the dances, everything of that is just about being accurate. And if you, and there've been lots of things done about the 60s, and so few have got it right. I mean, Quadrophenia got it right, and that's on film, so made loads of money, but ours was absolutely accurate. I mean, if we didn't have original stuff, we had replicas. There's lots of wonderful companies out there that supported us, like Gabici and Love Her Madly, and lots of Gibson suits and different stuff, you know, who are still making the wonderful cuts of that time, and they supplied us with wonderful stuff. And my friend Mario from Modfather in Canada,
he was brilliant.
so everything was authentic. Now I'm going to put you over to Poppy, and she had to, and it was so important that it changed the time. She had so many quick changes and so many costumes. We had so many. How many costumes did we have, Pops?
Probably nearing 1,000. We definitely, with all the spares and the all the duplicates that we had so many items. It was just mental.
Yeah,
we had 5 trundles.
100 in the show or something, I think.
Yeah. It was crazy, but it was great, and it meant that we were so busy. It was awesome. But yeah, we did from the vault all the way through. We swapped in stuff in, didn't we? So stuff lasted.
Yeah.
So we made sure that
some of it fell apart.
Yeah, exactly. So we had to get things remade, and like your peach dress.
Yeah, that was an original. That was mine originally, and then we had to have it remade. But yeah, so it was all authentic. That's something I insisted on, that everything was authentic, and you know, and Poppy was amazing that she
thank you.
did it all. So, any other questions? We need some more questions.
I think we've got time for one or two more. So thanks, Pops, by the way. Okay, Carol, this is from Dean Lee.
Dean, hello. Yeah.
How much of a challenge is it to find a main cast that can not only act but also play and have some resemblance to the original stars? Shall I get the boys up?
Yeah. They can. I can say it was incredibly difficult because, as I said about the costume, I wanted it all live. I wanted you to know what it was like to be there in the 60s, like I was, and to hear that wonderful music live, and to speak my language of East London. That the Small Faces did as well. And it was incredibly hard to find, because they was, you know, Steve Marriott's got one of the best voices in the entire world. So that was incredibly hard. They're fantastic musicians. They all were, the Small Faces themselves. And to find people who can act and play like these boys, my boys here, is incredible, because it was absolutely so hard, and the hardest thing was the height as well, because even if you found someone who was talented as an actor and a musician, you know, having the and even if they had the attitude and could do the accent, it was the height, because we, you know, the Small Faces were all under 5'6". I mean, I think we go up to 5'8" or something. And a touch, I think Stefan's 8.5 or something like that, but he's sitting down a lot of the time. But that was most difficult. But boys, you can talk about that as well.
I remember in the final round of the auditions, we were all lined up, and I remember Pat Davey kind of coming up to me just before going back in for the final time and going, "We're going to stand you all next to each other. Just stoop a little bit. Just a teeny bit. We're a tiny bit shorter than you are. It doesn't really need to be a lot, but just a little bit, and that'll be fine." So I stood there, like, kind of making myself no net, and trying to be as short as possible.
Yeah, and I was the measure, because I'm so little. If someone looked big beside me, then that was so wrong. Yeah.
We all got so accustomed to how short we all were that it wasn't until we sort of went back out into public or did other jobs that we were like, oh yeah, we're actually quite short, aren't we?
Yeah, but you know, I was championing small people, because I am small. And as I said, we were a lot smaller. I mean, we were a lot smaller, a lot thinner, you know, and we were and we were a lot shorter because we didn't have the same sort of nutrition. Well, we had nutrition, but we didn't. Yeah, we didn't. Yeah, it was the rationing.
Yeah.
No, but we didn't have maybe all the additives and stuff that they have, you know, to make people tall. But you know,
Yeah.
but also it's so important to me that I wouldn't let anyone go to the gym or anything like that. I don't like the muscle. You've got to
To
wear
be
your
honest,
clothes
that's my
right.
favourite of all of your rules.
Yeah, that was it.
Don't go to the
My
gym.
nuts.
Go
Don't
to
go
the
to the gym.
Yeah.
Don't get muscles.
I've kept that up
Wear
to
the
this day, Carol.
clothes.
Yeah,
You
very
did. Follow
sorry.
that to the letter,
Yeah.
darling. Thank you.
Yeah.
Nice, Thank you, guys.
Still now.
2 more questions. So I'm going to bring Chris and Daniel
Yeah,
up for
Chris
this.
and Daniel in. Yeah.
This is another one from you, Carol, but I'm sure they can comment. Who came up with the idea of having the older Steve Marriott looking back at his younger self through his life? And it's from Chris. Not that Chris, a different Chris, I believe.
I did, but and it was a great device because I wanted the kind of hindsight of it, and to see him through the ages, and Chris really embraced that. So I think Chris should talk about that.
Just getting Chris on the screen. There we go.
Oh, Daniel.
Hello. I think Chris is just coming in. So there he is. Beautiful man.
Now, if I saw him looking like that, I wouldn't have cast him as Steve Marriott. That's for sure. Have you got any questions,
Yeah, you would.
Alex?
Hang on, let me just pop it up again.
We got hello from Dundee, our Dundee boys.
Oh, I love Dundee.
Yeah.
I that's good to say. What a fabulous little theatre.
What have we got?
Dundee
I'm surprised to see other people as short as Alex.
I know. Finally found my kin. It's amazing. You know.
We also measured towns and venues by the goodness of their Weatherspoons as well.
Well, you did a lot, you two.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What was the question?
You know when it's going to be a good week.
Yeah, it's strange how you sort of come to rely on those things. You know, actually before the tour, I'd sort of avoid Weatherspoons by rule, really, because I decided to become a bit of a craft beer snob. But as soon as we got on the road, I realised that actually Weatherspoons was one of the home comforts, and knowing exactly what you were going to get.
I couldn't believe how cheap the drinks were up north.
Yeah.
Let's ask Chris that question about the older Steve.
Yeah, so that question was, who came up with the idea of having the older Steve Marriott? Who came up with the idea of having the older Steve Marriott looking back at his younger self through his life?
Well, I did, but you know, obviously, it'd be nice to know what Chris thought about that. I mean, that was as I said, my way of showing a hindsight and the breadth of his life up until when he was taken from us too soon. But you know that, and Chris really could see that and embrace that. So if you could talk about that a little bit, Chris.
Yeah, it was my role was sort of like actor's dream, you know, actor's dream as far as, you know, we're happy, we're lucky to be working, we're happy to be working, aren't we? And then all of a sudden, you know, in a blue moon, you'll land a role like that. That's sort of like, you know, that's just phenomenal, especially all through that second act. I remember, you know, the first, you know, obviously I'm not telling you anything that you don't know, guys, but you know, the going up and the drugs and the women and the partying, and then just that slow decline. It's not like coming on and having, oh, here's your moment of, you know, it's a real slow burning decline that they can that they're always meant to see him there, but he's never meant to draw attention to himself. You know, it's just meant to be absorbed into the whole piece. And you had an hour and 10 minutes to do it. It wasn't, like I said, it wasn't just a quick flash in the pan. I probably won't get another role like it, if I'm being honest. You won't get another, you know, a role that's so juicy to play. Yeah, Yeah, it was phenomenal. It's quite wonderful to play. Yeah.
And that sort of progression as he gets drunker throughout the course of the show, you know, he sort of starts off as this sort of jolly character, then by the time the show's closed, he's completely hammered. I mean, was that draining every single night? So, because I mean, I first saw it as a fanboy in the vaults, and watching it from that side was mesmerizing, because you just got the journey of a drunkard so right. God knows I know. But it was brilliant, you know. And I actually wondered whether you'd been secretly hammering it, you know.
I mean, I had to go through my. You couldn't cheat. You couldn't. You know, some shows you can go on and just sort of coast your way through them, but I couldn't. You could never cheat. I remember on matinee days, I was absolutely, you know, just I'd be asleep in your digs within minutes because you were so exhausted. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just, and what Carol said earlier when he was like, I bet he had so many demons. You know, she says he was a complete firecracker. Well, that firework, that comes with demons as well. He had all his own demons that sort of like that you saw coming out in that second act. Yeah, and the trick was, I think, like Carol said in the beginning of rehearsals, don't just come out being pissed, you know, and don't do obvious drunk acting, and because it would just be awful. It would be awful. So it had to be slow. It had to be gradual. I remember there were certain words that I thought, right, you're just starting to, you know, the journey of being further, more inebriated would move on certain tiny little bits, but. Yeah, and if you got it wrong, you had another go the next night. That's the beauty of the theatre, isn't it? If you got it wrong, you tried again the next night, and you know, I think we honed it. Yeah, it was wonderful.
I always enjoyed your story, Chris, about how you learnt what your drunk acting was going to be when you said you got drunk and filmed yourself.
Yeah, well,
How you reacted.
I think I'm doing that now. Am I back in again? Because my iPad is out.
Yeah, and even like you said, being drunk on stage is one thing, but being 5 different levels of drunk and trying to put that across without doing silly drunk acting. So yeah, that was just it was something that somebody told me, that you know, you have a couple of beers, you film yourself, you have 3 the next night, you have 4 the next night, and you just see the different, you know, the way your face drops and yeah, you just try to make it as authentic as possible, don't you, without being, you know, I was supposed to be doing a play next where I've got a bit of a stutter, and the nervous thing about it is, well, it won't be for a while now, but you know, you don't want to go on going da 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 da, you know, but you know, it's sort of a speech impediment that you want to, you don't want the audience to see that all the time. It's a similar sort of thing to this. It's a learning. You've got to learn it. You've got to learn how to do it rather than just think that you can do it, you know.
Was that a question about being drunk in it?
Yeah.
In the show. Oh, right, okay. And what was Daniel's question? What did I miss? You know what?
I didn't have a question, Carol. I just wanted to tag on the end of Chris's, just because, you know.
Got anything else then? Anything else from Daniel?
Well, there were so many different funnies in the show, Daniel. What was your approach to the funny in general? Because, you know, playing someone who's obviously real and still with us, like Tony Blackburn, and playing characters who are fictional, or are they slightly different disciplines? You know, I suppose you had to be true to Tony Blackburn's various quirks.
I think the main thing with any comedy character is it's all got to be realistic. There's no ending anything up, otherwise it's not funny at all. Because as Chris says, it's like playing drunk. You can't just pretend to be drunk. You've got to be. And play people like one of my favourites to do. Tony Blackburn was just a dream, because everyone knows Tony Blackburn's voice. Everyone knows that I look almost identical. I mean, I don't think we've ever been in the same room together. No, that's not true. But you know, doing an impression rather than an impersonation. An impression, I've always thought the difference is that you give the idea of somebody, so you get their sort of their facial tics or their voice, and you try and give an impression of that person, and that was so much fun. Just being just a few lines as a particular person, you know, and so many different people had it. I mean, with the good old Marge there was another fantastic lot of fun. All these little cameo roles that made the show, I think, that much more special as well. You know, Marge, the school teachers, all these different people who were involved in the story. Great.
Nice. I think.
So what's nice is that it's the relationships when you're doing comedy as well. The relationship between Bill and Kay and Steve and Kay and Arden and Mad John and things like that. You know, it's all about those relationships, isn't it? You know.
Well, funnily enough, when I watched the stage show the other night, I don't think I've actually seen it, and watching some of that stuff. I mean, I remember there was stuff that I remembered. Oh, we cut that, or we changed that, or that, and watching the stuff between Arden and Mad John and the boys was just fun, but at the same time quite menacing. There's that great thing where you can laugh one moment and be slightly frightened or sad the next. Chris had some, as you said here, that was an incredible role for somebody who could make an audience laugh and then cry within the same minute, in the same 30 seconds. So dream for me as well as a character actor to be able to play so many characters. And miss it.
Yeah, we miss it, and we miss all of you out there. I think we're going to wrap up soon, aren't we? But we miss you very much, and thank you for making the show so fabulous. You're the other bit of the family, and I've got all my family there of All or Nothing cast and crew and beautiful creatives, people who, you know, help make my dream come true. But the other bit of that is the audience out there that you've just been, you know, tuning in with us. And also, I just want to say a really big thank you to anyone who donated to the Just Giving page. I think we've raised so far £6,620. It's up until tomorrow, so if anybody wants to put any more in, that's great. But otherwise, we'll send that to the National Health Charities. And what we really hope is that by July the 18th, when we have the gig at the Half Moon Putney, that we can do it, that we can all be there together again with you, the audience, and just have a big party to say this is all over and we've come through and we've, you know, shared and been kind and loved each other. So, you know, I don't know who else wants to say anything, but that's what I'd like to say to everybody. And thank you so much for still wanting to be part of All or Nothing. And I love you very much.
Oh, Mad. How can anybody possibly follow that? So I think, it's roughly about time for us to wrap. So thank you everybody for joining us tonight, and keep the faith. Keep it dusty, keep it real, and
Beavers, yeah.
Maybe we'll do this again at some point.
We hope to.
Yeah, cool. Lots of love, everyone. Thank you. Take care. Stay safe.
Bye.